In this video, all about weighting for freediving. How much weight should you use for freediving? What is too much weight? What are the factors that have an influence on how much weight you should be using? If you're gonna watch this video till the end, you'll never have to ask me again, Gert, how much weight should I be using? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, coming up. What is up, guys? In this video, all about how much weight you should be using in freediving for beginners to intermediate to advanced freedivers. If you're new to this channel, my name is Gert Leroy, helping you master freediving. And honestly, when I started freediving, my life has simply changed for the better. Freediving gave me a space, a way to relax my mind and let go of all my tension. I have found my peace. And now I want you to find your peace through the practicing of freediving. So if you like the idea, consider subscribing and hit the notification bell. Alright, so how much weight should freedivers use? Well, let me start by pointing out that there might be a problem here. Most freedivers, so the vast majority of all freedivers or beginning freedivers, they use too much weight. And why is that? Because if you use a little more weight than necessary, then going down is easier, of course. So the first part of your dive will be easier, but don't forget, you still have to go back up. So you're making it yourself quite difficult to come back up with more weight. So obviously on the last part of your dive, you will be running out of breath. So imagine coming back up with more weight than necessary. So you're putting yourself actually in a dangerous situation. Another reason besides the whole descent is of course the start of the descent, which is the duck dive. So the duck dive is a technical movement, and if you do not master this technical movement, then you're gonna need more weights. So obviously duck diving with, let's say, 4 kilos on you, which is quite heavy, will be easier than duck diving with only 1 kilo. That's another reason why beginners use more weights, because they lack technique, they lack the skill of performing a well-executed duck dive. Also, spear fishermen tend to use more weights to stay down easier and wait for the fish. But yeah, same story. If they go up, they have to go up with lots of weights after they've been holding their breath for quite some time, holding a gun in their hands. So that is a very critical situation. So in freediving, we use the minimal amount of weights that we need to go down in a technically correct form. So before we go into how much weight that would actually be, let's talk first a bit about the factors that influence how much weight you should be using. So first of all, body composition. A person with more muscle and less fats will sink faster. So if you sink faster, that means that you are more negatively buoyant. If you have less muscle and more fat, then you will have the tendency to stay up more. So that is more positively buoyant. So as a freediving instructor, when we get new students in a school and we have to decide how much weight we're going to use for them without being in the water first, we generally take a look at their body composition, and the more dense someone seems to be, the less weight we're going to give this person. Secondly, the wetsuit. So if you would be diving without a wetsuit, you would sink faster. So a wetsuit makes you more positively buoyant. So the thicker your wetsuit, the more positively buoyant you are. So for instance, the difference between a 1 millimeter wetsuit or a 5 millimeter wetsuit can be huge. If you're using a 5 millimeter wetsuit, you will be using more weights than if you would be using a 1 millimeter wetsuit. And if you would be using no wetsuit at all, then you would use even less weights. Got it? And a third factor is the amount of air that you take on your final inhalation, your final breath. If you only take a small amount of air in, something like this, then obviously you will be less buoyant than if you would take a big breath, something like this. Because on the big breath, I have more air in my lungs. It's like 2 big balloons that are holding me back to the surface. So the more air you have in you, the more positively buoyant you are. Or in other words, the more difficult it will be to sink. Now, advanced freedivers, they can do something that is called packing. So on top of taking a big breath, they are going to suck in some additional air. It looks something like this. So then you have even more air, which means you would need a bit more weight to compensate that air in your lungs. Does that make sense? Alright, so we are almost there. How much weight should you be using? But before we get into that question, I want to talk a little bit about the different forms of weights. So how does weights for freediving in general look like, and how do we use these weights on our body? So the most typical form of weights for freediving or diving in general, scuba diving, is what you probably have seen, squared shape, shaped, and you have them in different formats. I think there is 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, etc. So 1 pound is more or less half a kilo. So you start from half a kilo, then the next increment would be 1 kilo, and if you add another half a kilo, then you have 1.5 kilos. That is how the vast majority of freedivers use their weights. But if at a certain point in your freediving career you become more advanced, then you will see that wearing these weights on your weight belts, on your midsection, is for deep dives not always the best solution. I'm only talking about advanced freedivers here. Advanced freedivers do something that is called neck weights. So instead of using the weights on the belts, we are going to have the weight on our neck. Now there are many ways of making neck weights. The most typical self-made solution is just buying an inner tube from a bicycle and filling it up with lead balls, and then we use this on our neck. And the advantage of this is that if you are free falling head down, then the center of gravity will be here on your neck instead of in the middle of your body, which will give you a better position in your free fall. So another big advantage of these self-made neck weights is that you do not have to jump from half a kilo to 1 kilo, 1 kilo and a half. So the increments, you can basically just make them the way you want to. If you need a 700 grams neck weight, that is perfectly possible. If you need a 350 grams neck weight, perfectly possible. All right. How much weight would that be? That is the question you've been asking me. Now I'm going to give you the answer. For the vast majority of freedivers, the beginning freedivers, and that would be between starting freedivers, 0 meters and 30-40, up until 30-40 meters, that would be considered beginning to starting intermediate freedivers. You will choose the amount of weights in such a way, considering all the factors that we've been talking about, that you will be neutrally buoyant at 10 meters. That is the answer to how much weight should I be using. You have to be neutrally buoyant at 10 meters. That means that at 10 meters depth, you will be neither sinking, neither going up. You will just simply stay at the same level. If you don't do anything, you will not go down, you will not go up. Neutrally buoyant at 10 meters. Okay, very interesting, but how do we know we are neutrally buoyant at 10 meters? Well, therefore, you have to do a buoyancy check. So, considering all the factors, you have your wetsuit on, you're gonna go down. Hey, doggy. What's up? What's up? Hey, oh, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So you're gonna go down to 10 meters, and then you're gonna hold the line. So we're talking about line diving here with a buoy and the line, a bottom weight attached to it. You're gonna hold the line at 10 meters. You're gonna look at your dive computer, hold the line with just 2 fingers, and just hang there. You're not gonna fin, you're not gonna move your body. You're just gonna hang there, holding the line with 2 fingers. And if you're neither going up, neither going down, then you know you're neutrally buoyant at 10 meters. If you would be sinking at 10 meters, then you know you have too much weight. If you would go up at 10 meters, then you know you do not have enough weight. So that's how you adjust your weight. So you have to bring some extra weights into the buoy. So if your buoyancy check would not be right at 10 meters, then you have to adjust your weights, do the buoyancy check again until it's right. So for vast majority of freedivers, this is done at 10 meters, but it is good to know that for advanced freedivers, deeper divers, the neutral buoyancy becomes a little deeper. So when you do, for instance, a 60-meter dive or deeper, you're not going to be neutrally buoyant at 10 meters anymore. In general, your neutral buoyancy will be a little deeper, like 12 meters or 13 meters, because as your dive is deeper, you will spend more distance underwater being negatively buoyant, which means that you do not need that much weight anymore. So the deeper you dive, the more negatively buoyant you become, right? Because your lungs get compressed by the pressure of the water. So the deeper you dive, the more you start sinking. That's why at a certain moment you start free falling. So if you would do a very deep dive with a lot of weight, you would be sinking too fast and coming up would be too difficult. So the deeper you dive, the less weight you use. Typically 12, 13, maybe 14 meters neutral buoyancy. So now that you know, guys, how much weight you should be using in freediving, if you have been using more weight than necessary before watching this video, then please comment in the comment section by writing guilty. That's it, guys. Peace in every breath.